Hey, how's it going? Welcome to episode 4 of Exploring RuneScape in 2004. If you're new to this series, I would highly suggest you start from episode 1 to understand the context of what's going on and how it got to this point. Otherwise, you'll probably be confused what's going on. Basically, 2004scape is an open source, non-profit preservation project meant to restore and preserve RuneScape exactly how it was in 2004. And I want to document my journey of what it was like playing in 2004, while most importantly exploring the historical differences that separate RuneScape in 2004 from old school RuneScape today. At the moment, everyone is locked to free-to-play up until March 29th, which is just over 2 weeks from today. And in that time, I want to prepare for members as much as possible, get my stats up, get items I'll need for quests, and prepare for fletching and the other skills. In the previous video, I accomplished my childhood dream, which I never got back then, which was 60 mining for access to the mining guild. And then I spent a bunch of time mining coal, and my coal stack is now up to 2,000. But in this video, I want to mine a lot more coal. This is just the beginning. I've got a lot of lack of childhood memories to make up for, I suppose, but I'm starting off this video at 63 mining, and currently I have to edit the previous video. And while I wouldn't call coal mining AFK, it is a nice low intensity interval based method that I should be able to reasonably edit while I'm doing this. Also, there's so many people at the mining guild, I definitely have to hop worlds, but in every world there's multiple people from what I've seen. We're kind of at the peak hours right now. I don't know if it's always worth it to do this, but if I remember to at least, I do want to show my high scores at the start and end of each video, or at least for now I'd like to. So here's where we're starting at, rank 175 overall, and the mining rank is 522. Whoa, this hasn't happened to me before. I clicked on the bank and it started pathing me this way. This door must not be open by default, so someone must have opened it. Where's it take? Oh, wow. This is genius. Someone opened the doors like this. Do they close by themselves after 5 minutes or something? Wow. Thinking more about it now, it's actually probably not worth doing that method where you open the doors, because you have to do it every trip. And between losing out on the one-click option of going to the bank and having to navigate your camera around to open the doors and make sure you're clicking on the doors and the extra effort, it's probably not worth it. Not worth the extra time. If you play on low detail mode, I believe the roofs are removed, and I think that's the only way to have the roofs removed. But when you play on low detail, you don't have any options for music, and I personally like having at least the game sound effects on. Helps with quite a few things. Why did someone drop coal? Wait, did someone die here to a random? Is that why there's coal on the ground? Don't mind if I do. That's why you don't AFK in 2004. The randoms are very dangerous. Also why you play with the game sounds on, because then you could hear when you get a random. Hey bud, what are you mining? There's no rock there. I just got 64 mining. I missed the level, of course. But I tested out 1 hour of mining in the mining guild last video, and it came out to 16k mining XP per hour. But that was when I was paying maximum attention. So over the course of time, I think it's going to go down to like 12 to 14k mining XP per hour. In terms of number of coal, that would be 240 to 280 coal per hour. But man, I'm at the point where it's 42k mining XP to the next level. So it's like at least 3 hours to get the next mining level. Originally, we were all expecting to be stuck in free-to-play until May, but when they announced that it's coming March 29th, Slayer Music, he had been working on the quest guides for members, because you could download the source code and try out all the members areas, and he was making all these quest guides for members. But ever since they announced that members is coming so soon, he's been really ramping it up. He's been uploading like twice per day on his second channel, Zombie Music. As a reminder, because a lot of people seem to not get this, everything in the server is completely free. And when I mentioned free to play versus pay to play, that is for the historical context of the areas and the skills and the content within the game, not any kind of paid subscription that's required. Everything is free. It is dinner time for me, which means I'm going to go AFK, and mining coal is unfortunately not AFK enough for me to do at the same time. So I'm going to do the same thing that I was doing last video, where I'm going to be chopping the 2 yew trees that are south of Falador, and I'm going to bring in an inventory of essence to craft air runes for each trip of the yew logs that I do. And this way I'm being super macro efficient by training 2 skills at the same time, aka feeding 2 birds with 1 scone. Yo, there is a runecraft level, completely passive wildwood cutting, no time lost whatsoever. And I'm really banking on the fact that most of you didn't watch the last video where I spent an hour trying to get the air talisman, but that's besides the point. Completely passive runecraft level. I am back to mining, and this inventory is going to put me at 3,000 coal. I don't know how much coal I'm going to go for this video, but maybe just till I get bored or till I'm not feeling it, but I am definitely still feeling it. When you have the whole mine to yourself, which is pretty rare, but when there's no one else mining any coal down here, you can figure out a route that's most efficient. I don't know what the efficient route would be exactly or what it is, because I'm sure someone's figured it out, but there's definitely one that has the least amount of tiles between rocks that also ends you up close to the ladder right when your inventory fills up. There's level 65 mining. I was just about to click on another rock too, but I didn't this time. I got it. 47k XP to the next level, and with coal being 50 XP each, that's close to 1000 coal for one more level, which is like 3.5 hours. I want to compare mining coal to mining rune essence. Coal is about 15k XP per hour and about 45k GP per hour, whereas rune essence is 4500 XP per hour and 36k GP, assuming you're mining 900 per hour. With rune essence, it is a bit more AFK than mining coal, but with the huge XP sacrifice and still less GP per hour, I'd say it's generally not worth it, with the only exception being very early on in an account, maybe doing an hour or two to get some starting GP. But at that point, with a low mining level and low level pickaxe, you're not going to be getting that 900 essence per hour. It will be more AFK though than mining essence later on, since you're mining it slower. I love the interactions you have in this game. It's such 2004. I don't know if everyone's doing it on purpose or if it's just because of the way the game makes you interact with people. Hello, hi, mining level 65, you? Nice, 62. Nice. I love 2004. This is so fun. See, in old school RuneScape, you just look up people's stats on RuneLite. You don't have to ask them what their levels are, and that does not lead to more conversations when you don't initially ask them that starting question. Between the random events being very deadly and the logout timer only being 90 seconds, you kind of have to pay attention to the game. You can't really look away, and when you're staring at the screen watching your character mine, it really makes people interact with each other and talk to each other more, at least compared to osrs. This is a very interesting strategy I've seen this person doing over here, mining the mithril and the coal and then superheating it into mithril bars. People are currently buying mithril bars for 740, and nature runes, they're currently really expensive. They're selling for 300. It's 4 coal for every 1 mithril, so it's like for every 5 rocks you mine, you're only taking up 1 inventory slot. So it's a lot longer between having the bank, which maybe makes it more mining XP per hour at the cost of losing out on a little bit of GP. But then you're also getting magic XP and smithing XP, and that kind of makes me want to do it too, although I don't have the magic level for superheat. I'm very close to it. You only need 43, and you probably need the smithing level to be able to superheat for the requirement for whatever bar you want to make. So I'd also have to get to level 50 smithing first before I'd even be able to do that. Once I deposit this inventory, the coal stack is now 4,000. I have doubled my coal stack in this video. I've kind of wasted my time doing that because I could have just gone to Rock West and found someone that was doubling coal, but I did it all by myself anyways, Iron Man style. And I was thinking of a goal, maybe something I could go for this video. Hear me out. 10,000 coal. If I do go for 10,000, that's already going to be the title and thumbnail of the video, so you probably already knew that I was going to be going for that. But we'll see what mining level that gets me to, and that's going to be a while longer, 6,000 more. That's going to be 20, at least 20 hours more. Oh god, what am I signing myself up for? Just got to mine this coal. Whenever you record to try and get a level, it takes longer than it normally would, of course, so there we go. 66 mining. One of the nice things about woodcutting and doing this multi-skilling method specifically is that if I chop down the first tree and then go to the second tree and immediately chop it down after 1 or 2 logs, because there's just those 2 trees there is a third one I could run to as well, but once I chop the trees down, I don't have to wait for one of them to respawn. I could just go to the bank and come back. I'm not really wasting my time because I'm still getting the runecraft XP that I'd eventually be going for someday anyways. There's no extra downtime when I'm doing this method, whereas in Edgeville, there would be quite a bit of downtime. If I chop the 2 trees down, I could go to the bank, but by the time I get back, I'd probably still be standing around, and it'd be an unnecessary trip to the bank if I only had like 3 logs in my inventory. When you say bye to someone, but then continue walking the same way as them. Yo, Pizzazz made a news post saying that there's gonna be a server update in 3 hours from now, 2 a.m, so I'll be asleep by then. And he says there's been some more authenticity improvements which may shock some of you. I'm very curious to see what those changes are going to be. Knowing my luck, it's going to speed up a grind I've already done. It's going to be like willow trees respawn faster, or coal respawns faster. Actually, coal respawning faster would be nice because I'm only halfway done now, or I'm not even at 5k yet. Getting close to it though. Good morning. I am up bright and early because I'm still on a normie sleep schedule, but we got the game update here, so let's take a look at it. The big change here is that back in the day, interface buttons typically would clear your actions. We can scroll down and read a little bit deeper into the news post to see exactly what that means. So they have all the typical stuff that you would usually see in these news posts, like changing things with dialogues, changed aggression range for random events no longer re-aggro on the player, clear interaction when changing attack styles, run/walk, and toggling prayers. And then changing game options and player controls will close interfaces and no longer queue when delayed. We'll find out in game in a minute exactly what that means, but I want to show one other thing from here. Engine changes. They finally changed the high score so that they now update on logout rather than every 30 minutes for everyone, no matter what, whether you're logged in or not. And it says, we're releasing an API shortly for third-party tools to integrate with. That's really cool. You know, like for osrs, we have Temple, where you can track like groups and high scores and EHP. I'm pretty sure that's the implication of adding this. But let's go in game and see how these clear interactions actually work after these changes. And if you want to see YouTube references, you can click on either of these and see YouTube references for both the changes for, yeah, sources for everything. It's really cool. Here's an example of what these sources link to, by the way, 18 years ago. It's very old YouTube videos. I want to see what happens if I click on this rock and switch to run. Will I still mine it? No, I'm not mining it anymore. Or if I'm in the middle of mining the rock and I switch to walk, or I switch my movement, that stops it as well. I assume same thing with auto retaliate. Turn that off. Stop mining it. I did think it was kind of weird. I didn't really think about it as more of a subconscious thing. I thought it was kind of weird that actions weren't being interrupted, because I could have sworn I remember from back in the day actions being interrupted when you switch different. Oh yeah, I think switching this as well should stop it, right? Yep, changing your attack style. Oh yeah, let's try prayer. Turn on prayer. That stops it as well. Oh my gosh, being in combat, if you switch your prayers in combat, that'll stop you from fighting. So prayer flicking won't really be a thing anymore. Or I guess you can prayer flick, but you have to click back on the monster every time. This is such a stark contrast from osrs, because the more they find out about 2004, generally the updates make the game harder or jankier, whereas in osrs, typically updates make the game easier. Every once in a while there is a nerf to something in the game where things become slightly harder, but overall the trend is easier and easier in osrs, whereas in 2004scape, things tend to trend to becoming slightly more difficult or more annoying or more janky, which makes sense. As they find out more and more about 2004, they could then add in those things that they found out were back in the day, rather than having the default of whatever the, I don't know, the engine is set to. I'm not a coder, but I think you know what I mean. Let's see what happens when I try to prayer flick. I'll attack this man and I'll turn my prayer on. I'm not attacking him anymore. Even with auto retaliate on, it is on, right? Yeah, it is on. So I have to stop prayer flicking in order for my character to auto retaliate. Hey, there's a random event. It says that the aggro ranges will now be shorter. So if how far away do you have to walk now? I mean, I guess that's supposedly shorter than it was before they de-aggro you. So I guess that is something that makes the game easier. Like, not everything makes the game harder, but that's a very, very subtle change that most people probably wouldn't even notice. And also the randoms don't re-aggro. You see I'm back in his aggro range, but he's not aggroing back onto me. It was kind of annoying before when that happened. You had to like make sure that you got far away enough so that the random would despawn. But now you don't have to wait for the random to despawn before going back to your activity. The random just now finally despawned. I wasn't keeping track of time, but that might have been like 5 minutes. Actually, I could probably check my clips to see how long that was. I think it was like 3 or 4. Could have been 5 minutes, I don't know, but it was here for a while, just walking around me before it despawned. Anyways, I was falling asleep at the computer last night. I really wanted to get this milestone last night, but I was like, you know what, it'd be better to get it in the morning anyways, and like I could not keep my eyes open. So here we go, deposit the coal, and I'm now at 5k coal, halfway to my goal. Maybe I could bring this to Varrock West and find someone to double it, but I'm gonna do all the work myself. I could use the mining XP anyways. All right, halfway. So much more mining to do. As a reminder, you can check the source code for anything in this game. It's all open source and you could download it or check it on the website. It's just personally, I don't have the time or desire to look up every single little thing and also learn how to check everything through the code. I'm sure it's not too difficult if you want to learn how to do it, but I would personally just rather discover things through playing the game. This is a very little thing, but do you see how you can kind of tell where the tiles are up in this corner, but over here You can't exactly tell what the tiles are. Maybe it's this way in OSRs as well, but I was just thinking about it. It makes the map seem more, I don't know, real, like it's not blocky or it's not squarey, because you can't really tell where the tiles are. I've noticed that in a lot of places throughout the game, not just this one specific area. Even if it is this way in OSRS, with RuneLite, you have the plugins like the tile indicators, and you can see exactly where every tile is when you hover your mouse over it. Being as it's Saturday today, there's a lot of people, and it's not even peak hours yet, but there's so many people at the mining guild. It is definitely cutting into my rates. I've tried to hop a few worlds, maybe I'll try to hop a few more, but Mine Guild is packed, man. Here's something interesting. If you already have the thing selected and you just click it again, even though it's already selected, that still cancels the action. It is time for my daily mining level. There's level 67. I got to use the bathroom, so I was about to log out, but I wanted to use this opportunity to check how the high scores work now, or just to double check that they work. The fact that they now refresh on logout rather than every 30 minutes. So let me just refresh right here. I'm going to log off. And we'll refresh again, and it should show my total levels now being 808. Let's see. Yeah, it refreshes on logout. That's cool. There's another 1,000 coal mined, up to 6K now. Reporting in with the daily mining level, there's level 68. Well, it's still really early in the day, so odds are I will get another mining level today. Another 1,000 milestone for the coal on the road to 10K. There is 7,000. Oh my god, I am logging in right now, and look at this. It hit 1,000. That's crazy. It is March 16th. Wow. It's been a month and a half since the servers were released. Wow, dude. That's crazy. I was mining a couple hours earlier, and the player count was like in the 800s. And I was thinking like the player count's pretty high, but there's not a lot of people at the mining guild. But that kind of makes sense if you think about it. If there's all these people online, it's probably a lot of new players, and new players aren't going to have access to the mining guild for quite a bit generally. Another theory of maybe why the mining guild is so empty, even though the player count is so high, is that maybe there's like a clan event or clan war going on. I saw someone mention something about like clan wars on Sundays, so maybe there's something special about Sundays, but either way, first time hitting 1K concurrent players is a very cool milestone. Every once in a while, a staff member will spawn around me, and I don't know if I'm getting special YouTuber privileges, probably is at least part to do with it, but they interact with all the other players in the area, and that's been bringing me back to the early days of OSRS, where I don't know if any of you were around for that, but Matt K, ex-Mod Matt K, Mod Matt K at the time, would do these very informal live streams of hanging out with the players in game and spawning monsters and insta-killing them to see the loot. And even to this day, the OSRS mods still do those streams, although they're way more formal and they're announced well in advance, they're recorded for the official YouTube channel, they're well coordinated with a team of people, which they kind of have to do with how big the player base is now in OSRS compared to 2013, 2014. But seeing the way the mods are interacting with people is really bringing back those early Matt K stream vibes. This is crazy, man. It reminds me of the first week or two of the game again, where every single day the game was breaking all-time high player counts. And here we are, having just broken 1K players for the first time in the last couple hours. And now we're closer to 1,100 than we are to 1,000 online at the moment. Let me refresh one more time. Now we're not. And if you're curious what it looks like with 1,071. If you're curious what the worlds look like, how many people there are per world, this is what it looks like. The minimum players on a single world is currently 50. And 50 people in a world may not sound like a lot, but in free-to-play, even when there's only 20 people in the world, it still feels like you're seeing people all the time, all over the place, because of how small the free-to-play areas are. And a lot of people aren't in the empty areas. You know, people will be at the Giants or at the Mining Guild, so you tend to always see people around. And with the minimum amount of people we're seeing right now being 50, I mean, the world just feels so packed. I think it's a good problem to have, though. Up until they announced when pay-to-play was coming out, so like in early March, up until then, there were only 10 worlds, and a lot of the time, there would be like 2 or 3 worlds that were offline. But once they announced when Members was coming out, they also added 2 additional worlds. They added those Japan worlds, so now we have 12 worlds. Once Members comes out, though, people will be able to stay in free-to-play if they want to, as a free-to-play locked type of account. But you can see right down here, they are getting ready for pay-to-play. They do have this pay-to-play section. Use these worlds to experience the game as a pay-to-play player, but there are none down there yet. Couple more weeks. Nice. That's my second mining level today, and it's still not too late in the day, so it would be possible for me to get to 70 mining today. I think I'll be able to do it. These 1K coal milestones are really starting to fly by now. There's 8,000. I just got a diamond from this rock. I think that's my first time getting a diamond while mining. I don't have bank space to deposit the diamond because I don't have any in the bank right now. I'll drop this Addy axe head that I'll probably never end up using. Maybe someone else can find some use out of that. I do need to clear out the bank though at some point soon because there are a few items I could see in here that I don't need or could easily use up. There was randomly some silver ore on the ground and I don't have any space in my bank. I don't feel like clearing that right now. I'll wait till after I mine all the coal, then clear out the bank. I do have stacks of silver bars, so I'm gonna quickly make these into bars, which arguably is not even worth the time, and this clip probably isn't even worthwhile, but you know what? It's all part of the journey of all the little inefficiencies that I do and we all did in 2004. If I show all the efficiencies I do, then it's only fair that I show all the inefficiencies I do. Although to be fair, I think most things I do are overall macro pretty inefficient, but that makes it more relatable, right? With this inventory, my coal stack is now over 9,000. Every 1K milestone is probably like 3.5 hours of mining, so 3.5 hours left to go until I reach the goal. I've been watching a lot of osrs videos and content, and I can confirm after seeing this thumbnail and title that the moderators are appearing for other people, not just me, at least other YouTubers. It's really cool though. I've been seeing a lot of 2004scape YouTubers pop up, a lot of them who have never made videos before. Some of them used to be osrs YouTubers, or this is like an excuse for some people to start making videos. And it's really cool because a lot of them have formed these little communities. They stream on YouTube because you're not allowed to stream 2004scape on Twitch. But it's really cool. I'll see that I kind of lurk in streams a lot, and I'll see them interacting with each other in their streams and in their YouTube comments, and it's very wholesome to see. It's like the early days of osrs. I'm listening to the 2004scape podcast right now, and Pizzazz just said something that's very interesting that's relevant to what I'm doing. He said that mining changes in the next version of RuneScape in June of 2004, because you know this is May 18th, 2004. He says in June of 2004, mining was changed so that there's something like a 1-tick delay when you mine or when you deplete most types of rocks. And the way he's describing that makes it sound like mining will be very slightly slower in the future. So if that's the case, it's a good thing I'm getting all this mining out of the way now rather than waiting until later on. But apparently when that change happens, 2 people will be able to get ores at the same time, or multiple people. So that'd be very interesting to see how that works. Here we go. Let's turn the music on and we'll mine the rock. 70 mining. We got a nice Addy ore here to show for it. You can now mine adamantite. And that is going to be my last mining level before I get to the 10K coal goal, because I'm getting pretty close to it now. I would go mine an Addy ore in celebration of getting to 70 mining, but there's no point mining Addy. I mean, I could just do it for fun, but I would drop it because if you look at the marketplace, there's a ton of people selling Addy ores, but if we switch to the buy listings, there's no one buying Addy. So seems kind of pointless to take up a bank slot for that. Who knows if I'll be able to offload it. I do need to clarify something because there's a lot of comments about when I point out a quirk or something in the game like that. I get a lot of comments saying, actually that's how it's supposed to be because that's how it was in 2004. I want to make it clear that when I'm pointing out all these little differences in the game from osrs, it's not me trying to call out those things for being inauthentic. It's because, well, that's the main goal of the series, which I say right at the start of the videos. I want to discover all the differences between osrs today and what the game was like in 2004. I mean, it's possible that some of the quirks I notice are mistakes, but I think that would be extremely rare, especially with the kinds of things that I notice and point out. But yeah, I'm just saying that when I point things out, it's because I think it's a neat fact and not a hidden agenda I'm being passive aggressive about of things I think are incorrect. I keep finding random items on the ground. There's some hard leather, there's 10 of them, and that's an item that I'm gonna want to use to train crafting, so I'm gonna have to make some more bank space for it. I'm so sorry, but shrimps, all 219 of you, you're gonna have to go. It's like the take a penny, leave a penny concept, or a community bookshelf kind of thing, except it's gonna despawn in a couple minutes. Goodbye, shrimps. I was genuinely using those for giants. I think I had like 400 of them at one point. Let's bring full inventories of them there. I've been doing that U-chopping and air runecrafting method each night while I've been eating dinner. And I just remembered it's been a while since I've checked on the price of the rune axe. Ever since I bought it, I haven't looked at the price. And I think I got it for 40 or 45K. And looking at the price now, People are currently selling it for 15k. It really can't go too much lower than that considering the high alc value is about 7.7k. It's been a long but very fun journey to get here. The last inventory of coal, deposit that. Over 10,000 coal in the bank. Even though the 1 hour test was around 330 coal per hour, when you take into account me being inefficient over the long term, as well as there being a lot of competition, especially as the player count got higher, it's probably closer to like, well, somewhere between 250 to 300. So if we say around 270, that means this took about 35 hours to get 10k coal. And if we say coal is 150 GP each, then this is about 1.5 mil worth. Although, interestingly, a lot of items have been starting to go slightly down in their prices, so coal might only be worth like 140 now. I was thinking about how in OSRS, coal is such a common resource because so many monsters and so many bosses drop coal. So I was having a look through the wiki page for coal. I did sort it by highest quantity to lowest, but you can see, I mean, it's like common drops from all these different bosses in the game or different chests that drop hundreds of coal at a time. And it really makes me appreciate how in 2004, skilling has a purpose. If you need food, you fish and cook. If you want a smith, you mine ores. And I know that you can just buy it from other players, but it still means that collectively as a player base, someone had to mine to get that ore. You know that someone didn't camp Zor for 100 hours to add tens of thousands of coal into the economy. I also want to point out how many gems I have now. I didn't point it out earlier in the video. I didn't even think about this until not too long ago, but I did gain like over 30 sapphires, I think like 10 plus emeralds, 10 rubies, and the 1 diamond. And on the topic of gems, that reminds me I need to clear out my bank a bit, or at least this one item has been bothering me. I really want to clear out these emeralds, these cut emeralds that I talked about in the previous video. So let's hopefully find a buyer for these. Cool, I found a buyer, should get 8k GP. They said buying cuts and uncut emeralds, yes. They're buying it for the same price, whether cut or uncut, so here we go, 8k. And most importantly, a bank slot has been freed up, which means with that sale, or with that bank slot cleared up, I can now store all my items in the bank perfectly. There's 60 bank slots, and this is the 60th slot taken up. This is like a UIM finally being able to store all their items in their looting bag and inventory. I'd say playing in 2004 free-to-play is like playing UIM light. It's not quite UIM, but there is still a major aspect of having to prioritize which items you keep and which you get rid of. A couple other bank slots I can free up. We got these mithril axes I got as drops from tree spirits. These are pretty much worthless now. And then the Addy axe, I probably could find a buyer if I looked long enough to sell it for like 2 or 2.5k GP, but at that point it's really not even worth the time because that's like not even that's like half an inventory of mining coal. So just gonna sell these to the shop. How much am I gonna get for these? Over 1k. I was originally thinking maybe I'd have that Addy axe as a backup in case I lose the axe head on my rune axe, but at this point I have so much GP, or so much theoretical GP, and the rune axe has gone down so much in price that it would not hurt me at all if I want to buy a second rune axe, or something happened to my first one. It's actually kind of a strategy to not have more than one of an item, because if I want to go mining or woodcutting, if I have 2 of them, that means I'd have the extra slot taken up in my bank while I'm doing that activity, which depending on what I'm doing, I may not always be able to spare that 1 extra bank slot. One of the main reasons I really wanted to do mining now is the same as the reason I gave for woodcutting and firemaking, which is that mining is a skill that won't really speed up when Members comes out. I guess for coal specifically, there's going to be the coal trucks and maybe some other method or methods, but the main XP method for mining is still going to be power mining iron, and there is that 3 iron spot in free-to-play in Alcarid. We got to do one final check-in with the high scores to see where I'm at. My mining rank is at 204 with level 70, and my overall rank is at 184, which is really crazy to think about because I remember in like episode 1 or episode 2, I was like, hey, I have the blink number, I have 182 for my rank. And now my rank is even worse than that after all the time I've been playing. But to be fair, since I've been training mining, which is a really slow skill, I've been gaining very few total levels, especially because my level's so high at this point. So it kind of makes sense that I've been losing overall ranks. But very soon, once I start training some lower level skills, the comeback will be real. Thank you so much for watching the video and for following along my journey so far. I really appreciate it. I'm so excited to keep on playing. There's so much more that I'm very excited to do, and I feel like I've barely scraped the surface of the content. Thank you so much again. I really hope you enjoyed, and I hope that you have a great day, and I hope to see you again next time with more adventures in 2004.